car sat abandoned at the edge of the bridge, its driver's side door wide open, rocking slightly in the wind. Below, the river swallowed the last light of day, black and endless. The first officers on the scene exchanged glances. Another runaway? A suicide? It seemed obvious until they looked inside. Her wallet, phone, and keys were still in the front seat. A half-empty water bottle sat in the cup holder. No note, no struggle, no body, just silence. That's when one officer muttered what they were all thinking. This wasn't a suicide. Someone made her disappear. Lena Carter, 19 years old, was planning her escape. For years, she'd felt trapped in her quiet hometown of Barridge, New Jersey. First, her mother died. Then her father grew distant. It was as if she had faded into the background of her own life. But then, she found it, tucked away in her late mother's belongings. A hidden envelope stuffed with cash, thousands of dollars, untouched for years. It was her ticket out. She wasn't going to tell anyone. But one night, in a moment of excitement, she confided in her childhood best friend, Eric Vaughn. They had known each other since they were kids. She trusted him more than anyone. But she didn't see it. Didn't notice the way his eyes darkened when she told him. Didn't hear the calculation in his silence. Didn't realize she had just signed her own death sentence. Eric Vaughn was bored of his life. The small-town routine, the dead-end job, the constant hunger for more. Now, suddenly, there was an opportunity. An easy one. He knew Lena trusted him blindly. Knew that if he played it right, she would walk right into the trap. So he started planning. For weeks, he fantasized about the perfect murder. He timed himself on his phone's stopwatch, rehearsing how long it would take for her to stop breathing. He bragged to his roommate, Mark Sutton, about the easy money they were about to get. And on December 3rd, he put his plan into action. That night, Eric invited Lena over, just like old times, just two friends hanging out. She walked through the door, smiling, unsuspecting. It happened fast. Before she could scream, his hands were around her throat. She fought, hard. Her nails clawed at his arms. Her feet kicked against the floor. Her body convulsed in desperation. But Eric, he didn't flinch. He watched the seconds tick by on his stopwatch. 1 minute, 2, 3. She was still fighting. For minutes. 5. Her body went still. Took longer than he thought. He sighed, checked his phone, then searched her room for the money. And that's when it hit him. There wasn't as much cash as he expected. Not even half. His first reaction wasn't guilt. It was disappointment. He had just murdered his best friend. For nothing. Eric called Mark. It's done. Together, they stuffed Lena's lifeless body into a plastic bin, shoved it into the trunk of her own car, and drove to the bridge. The plan was simple. Dump her into the freezing river. Let the current erase the evidence. The bin was heavier than they expected. They dragged it to the edge, struggling against the icy wind. And then they pushed. The plastic container plunged into the darkness below. Lena Carter was gone. Eric Vaughn was a master of deception. He didn't just act like a grieving friend, he played the part perfectly. He helped put up missing person flyers, spoke to reporters, and even cried at vigils, saying he just wanted Lena to come home. Everyone believed him. Everyone except one person. Jake Lawson, a mutual friend, couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. Eric wasn't just calm, he was too calm. Then one night, Eric let his guard down. He bragged, told Jake everything. How she fought, how long it took, how he timed it on his phone. He wasn't remorseful. He was proud. Jake barely kept his composure. The second he left, he went straight to the police. And that's when everything fell apart. With Jake's help, detectives set up a sting operation, a hidden microphone. They got Eric to confess on tape. He laughed as he described strangling his best friend. He mocked her final moments, and he complained about how little money he got. That was all they needed. Within 24 hours, Eric Vaughn and Mark Sutton were in handcuffs. Suddenly, the boy who thought he was untouchable was in a prison jumpsuit, shackled at the wrists. Mark, desperate to save himself, turned on Eric immediately, confessing everything in exchange for a lighter sentence. Eric, still smug, claimed his confession was fake, just a story for a movie script. But the jury saw right through him. They found him guilty of first-degree murder, conspiracy, and robbery, sentenced to life in prison. No parole. Mark got 18 years, eligible for parole after 15. And Lena? Her body was never found. Lena Carter trusted Eric Vaughn with everything. But to him, she was never a friend. She was just an easy payday. And in the end, Eric thought he was the smartest person in the room. He thought he had committed the perfect crime. But his own arrogance destroyed him. Because the one person he underestimated was himself. Justice wasn't just served. It was inevitable. Click on the like and subscribe buttons for more mystery case files.